music that make you wanna swing, dance all night until the dawn. That's where jazz was born. In New Orleans, they do their thing. They love to dance, they love to swing. Finger popping, Lindy hopping, they does the razzmatazz. In New Orleans, we call that jazz. On Bourbon Street, you get to meet folks from everywhere. Dancing, dining on red wings and rice, fried chicken, gumbo, that's worth the price. Come on down, have a ball in the city that's got it all. Do your thing, have your fling in the city where jazz was king. In New Orleans where jazz was born. Street you get to meet folks from everywhere. Dancing, dining on red beans and rice, fried chicken, gumbo, that's worth the price. So come on down and have a ball in the city that's got it all. Do your thing, have your fling in the city where jazz is king. In New Orleans. In New Orleans, in New Orleans where jazz was born. New Orleans where jazz was born.
Good evening to the West, good morning to the East. This is a good program from the Savoy, and you've been hearing Miss Norma Miller with Down in New Orleans, alongside the Billy Bro Swing Orchestra. And this is Big Daddy. Hello, everybody. And you're tuning on my YouTube channel, listening to the program All That Swing, music, culture, and histories of the 30s and the 40s. I'll do the best I can to entertain you for the next hour while listening to either known and unusual swinging songs. The main focus is on the swing craze, but we will move from the early 900s till nowadays in order to a wider side from the roots of jazz to the evolution of swing music and dance. This particular program that you will listen for a total of 36 episodes is part of the Swing European Network project co-financed by the European Union. The Italian Swing Dance Academy, who I'm a board member, represents Italy in this 3-year project that has 13 partners from 11 different European countries and whose main focus is the artist mobility in Europe. Now let's get started the episode number 34 with the great Cab Calloway 1939 plucking the bass. yes. The great Milt Hinton on bass with the Count Basie Orchestra 1939, Plucking the Bass. So that was a song just dedicated to Milt Hinton, a new acquired bass player for the band, along with Cozy Cole on drums, Ben Webster, Chu Berry. What orchestra was that one? 1939. And now let's meet a new friend, that is Billy Kyle. Billy Kyle was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1914. At the age of 8, he was already playing piano in his high school band, and some few years later played with a number of local bands before heading for New York in 1932. He also worked for longer periods in Syracuse and at the Memphis Club in Philadelphia. For a short time, he was member of a Tiny Bread Show orchestra that we know very well, and but did not have the opportunity to record with the band. In 1936, Kyle fronted his own group in Baltimore, Maryland, and then between late 36 and early 38 became part of the Mills Blue Rhythm Band. Billy Kyle playing piano, and after joining bassist John Kirby's successful little band in February 1938, Kyle became quite popular. He played with Kirby until he was drafted in late 1942. His military service took Kyle to the Pacific, where he served until 1946. After his discharge, he worked again on and off with John Kirby, but also toured with Cy Oliver's band. In the late 40s, Kyle played for almost 2 years in the Broadway show Guys and Dolls. He then played and recorded as a studio musician until invited to replace his idol Earl Hines in Louis Armstrong All Stars. In 1953, where he remained until a short time before his death. He can be heard on great number of both live and studio recordings with the All Stars until February 1966. And now we're gonna listen. So this was Billy Kyle, a pianist. So it's not that great name, but he was in some key bands like Miss Blue Rhythm, like John Kirby Sextet, and he was playing also with Louis Armstrong, replacing Earl Hines. I mean, that's something. That's really something. And now we're gonna listen to a lineup with Jack Sneed and his Sneedzers, where he was playing the piano. The recording comes from 1938, and it has a Jamaican flavor. The name of the song is The Numbers Man. Billy Kyle.
Has anybody here seen the Number Man?
The Number Man?
Yes, the Number Man.
Well, folks, here comes the Number Man. Pencil and pad are in his hand. I got some extra cash today, so I think I'll give this cat a play. Now, just to start off all the fun, put me down for a nickel on 101. 101, yes, 101. Got you down for a nickel on 101. Now, 101 sounds good to you. I think I'll put a nickel on 202. You say 202? Yes, 202. Got you down for a nickel on 202. Now, 202 sounds good to me, and I think I'll put a nickel on 303. You say 303? Yes, 303. Got you down for a nickel on 303. 303 may come out sure. I better put a nickel on 404. You say 404? Yes, 404. Got you down for a nickel on 404. 404's a lot of jive. Knock my nickel on 505. You say 505? Yes, 505. Got you down for a nickel on 505. 505 is full of tricks. You better put a nickel on 606. You say 606? Yes, 606. Got you down for a nickel on 606. 606 I got from a reverend, and I think I'll put a nickel on 707. 707, yes, 707. Got you down for a nickel on 707. 707 is Killer Gate. Knock my nickel on 808. You said 808? Yes, 808. Got you down for a nickel on 808. Now 808 is mighty fine. I'm gonna put a nickel on 909. You say 909? Yes, 909. Got you down for a nickel on 909. Now if that's all you're gonna play, I guess that I'll be on my way. Now just a moment before you go, put me down for a quarter on 000. There goes the Number Man. Got my numbers right in his hand now. Hi, 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 hi. Yes, 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 yes. Toot it, boy. Hi, 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 hi. Now, 101, 202, I got 303, I got 404, I got 505, I got 606, I got 707, got 808, got 909, I got 000. I am the number man. Got your numbers right in my hand now. I hit, don't start no stuff, or else I'll start in getting rough. Oh, if you hit, I'll be back sure, cause I want you to play some more. There goes the number man. Got my numbers right in his hand.
Yes, the Numbers Man, Jack Sneed and his Sneezers with Billy featuring Billy Carl on piano, 1938. So this song remembers the 1935 Staff Smith numbers again, a song talking about numbers again. So you know the numbers what was. We've been talking about it, a kind of lottery, talking about it in a previous episode. So go get it and listen to it, to the numbers story. And now let's move on. 1945, Count Basie Orchestra, Blue Skies.
Nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song. Nothing but bluebirds from now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright. Never saw things going just right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you in love, my how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on. Shining so bright, noticing the days hurrying by. Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on.
Yes, yes, yes. All That Swing by Big Daddy. Music, culture, and history of the swing, crazy, and around. Now let's meet a neo-swing band. We already know their name is Atomic Fireballs, and the song is Swing, Sweet Pussycat. Swing!
I wanna swing with that pussycat. I wanna dance with that pussycat. I wanna slide with that pussycat. I wanna jump with that pussycat. I wanna swing with pussycat. come near. Don't bite my neck, don't scratch my eyes. I take away those nine lies. A man's a man, a rat's a rat, so swing. Sweet pussy cat, 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 swing, 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 swing.
All right, the graspy voice of Jeff Buckley and the Atomic Fireballs. 1999, Torch This Place was the record, and Swing Sweet Pussycat was the song. What a sound, what a voice for this singer. The band was formed in Detroit in 1996, and 3 years later disbanded, unfortunately. But one of the songs from the record, Man with the Axe, was the soundtrack of American Pie, the movie, and Scooby-Doo, the cartoon. Sweet Pussycat performed with the band is performed by the band in the 1999 movie 3 to Tango. Jeff Buckley, what a voice! Woo! And now Erskine Hawkins Orchestra. 1946. Sammy's Nightmare. Yes. Sammy's Nightmare, 1947. Erskine Hawkins and his orchestra. The Bama State Collegians that came to New York in the 30s and then stayed there for a long time, becoming one of the favorite bands at the Savoy Ballroom by the dancers. It was great band, swinging band. Now let's proceed with the book. Reading the book. We're nearby the end of the book. The book is Swinging at the Savoy, memoir of a jazz dancer written by Norma Miller, the Queen of Swing, in 1996. The very first book written about Lindy Hop. And so she was talking about the 80s, the revival of the swing. From New York, everything started thanks to all means Norma, Chaz, and Frankie. During the 80s, swing was regaining popularity. In London, the craze inspired groups like the Jiving Lindy Hoppers, and in Sweden, the Swedish Hot Shots. In this country, a distinctly West Coast style developed with West Coast swing and Western swing groups. In North Carolina, they were doing the North Carolina Shag. They were even swinging on Bale Street. New York and Washington had their own swing dance societies. In New York, the C&J Band was formed to play the big band style of music. When they opened at the Small's Paradise in Harlem, they got a terrific response which started people dancing again at Small's Paradise. Every Monday night, it became a popular hangout for swingers. It became so popular that people began to bring back the Lindy in the true Harlem tradition. Monday night was the night for dancing, and even in Al's absence, because Al Means was just passed, the white kids kept coming from downtown to dance. I looked to Frankie, who better to teach dancers our style of dancing? In 1986, Frankie began a new career. This time as a teacher. He was now well into his 70s, but despite all those years spent working at the post office, he had never stopped dancing and was in great shape. He started with Erin Stevens and her partner Steve Mitchell. Frankie began working with a new group called the New York Swing Dance Society. So the very first swing dance society in the world. Within the New York Swing Dance Society is a group of performers called the Big Apple Dancers, in memory of White's Big Apple Dancers. And into this group there is a lady named Cynthia Millman that is the one who took care of Frankie's biography 9 years later, this one. He also began teaching at the Sandro Cameron Dance Center. He now teaches in Sweden with the Swedish Hot Shots, who worked with Al Means before his death. Frankie also works with the Jiving Lindy Hoppers in London, who originally learned the American Lindy style from Pepsi Battle. Frankie teaches the Savoy style, and it's done the way the dance was created. It's what Lindy is all about. One of Frankie's finest accomplishments was his choreography of the Broadway production of Black and Blue, for which he won the prestigious Tony Award, along with Henry Letang, Fayard Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers, and Charles Atkins, another great dancer, tap dancer, and choreographer. While I was still in New York, I had the opportunity to work with Alvin Ailey. One evening in 88 or 89, Ernie Smith and I were on our way to hear the pianist Jay McShon at Carnegie Hall, and we had the good fortune of running into Alvin on the 57th Street on his way to the same performance. I hadn't seen Alvin for many years. The last time it had been when we were appearing on the same bill in Los Angeles at the old Earl Carter Theater. At the time, he was a member of the Lester Horton Dancers, along with Jimmy Truth. Carmen De La Valde was the star of that group. Now Alvin had his own company, and they had become famous. He told me that he was planning a new ballet around Jay McShane that would include jazz, and he wanted me to work with him. So as we heard one episode ago, Jay McShane was rediscovered later after the Swing Craze era, and so it comes in the 80s with Norma, as Norma says. So the project sounded really exciting, and I told him I would love to do it. Having my work with a great company like Alvin's would give my Lindy Hop a more secure place in history. I was very excited about the project, and I planned to involve my longtime partner Billy Ricker. But the project was just beginning to take shape when Billy took sick. We lost him very quickly. It was at Billy's wake that I announced that Frankie Manning and I would be working with the Alvin LA company, choreographing a new ballet. For Frankie and me, working as choreographers together with the Alvin company was one of the most rewarding moments in our dancing career. The ballet Opus McShane made its debut at the Center Theatre in December of 1990. Alvin invited Frankie and me to be part of the gala. George Folsom directed the show, Bill Cosby emceed, Camille Cosby was the honored guest, and all of these dancers, past and present, were a part of the evening. So this is a great part. We'll read something later on. Now let's listen to Clarence Williams, 1934. Ain't nobody business if I do.
Take a notion to jump into the ocean. Ain't nobody's business if I do. Rather than persecute me, I choose that you would shoot me. Ain't nobody's business if I do. If I go to church on Sunday, then just tear it down on Monday. Ain't nobody's business if I do. Oh, if I let my best companion drive me right into the canyon, ain't nobody's business if I do.
Yes. Clarence Williams, 1934. This was a great swing song. Tain't nobody business if I do. And he was a main character of the jazz and swing transition, the jazz between the swing era, and he was the one who managed the Orchid Records in New York, the studio, recording all the great big bands, black orchestras. And the Orchid Record was then bought later by the Decca record company. So every major black artist was there, thanks to Clarence Williams, composer, pianist, and talent scout. So now, from 1934 to 1935, with Boots and His Buddies, this territory band from Texas, a band that had a chance to record on between 1935 and 1937 several songs, and here comes another interesting song that is called Riffs. While you're watching All That Swing by Big Daddy. Hup, hup. Wow, the Swing, 1935, August, Boots and His Buddies, Riffs, from Texas. Yes, it was great. Swing, though it wasn't really actually called Swing everywhere. For example, 2 months before the song we just heard, Chick Webb Orchestra recorded another one called What a Shuffle, 1935, June 1935. What a Shuffle. great Chick Webb Orchestra, 1935. What a shuffle, what a shuffle. So have you heard 1935, Boots and the Bodies and His Bodies and Chick Webb? Compared them, okay, Chick Webb was something more, we know it very well, but Boots and His Bodies were not something so far from Chick Webb Orchestra in this case. And now let's meet Willie Lewis and his Entertainers, so the band that toured Europe from 1936 until 1941, a black orchestra that came where the leader, Willie Lewis, came from the Sam Wooding band, the first black orchestra to tour Europe ever in the late 20s, 1926. They even came to Italy. And so Willie Lewis was teaching everyone what a great swing was played in the States, because the band, most of the music players were from the States. And the song we're going to listen to is Organ Grinder Swing, 1936. Willie Lewis and his Entertainers. Yes. All That Swing by Big Daddy. This was a great rendition of Organ Grinder Swing by Willie Lewis and his Entertainers, 1936. Great band. What a sound. What a swing. And now let's meet a band that recorded a song called the French Connection, and the French Connection was about cocaine. So go search and look for all the history of dope, and you will find this French Connection, where cocaine was refined, was worked before coming from South America. So the French Connection, the song comes from the Button Down Brass Orchestra, and we entering the chapter Thriller Jazz. This is a soundtrack of French Connection, the movie. And before listening to this song, let's hear a friend that has something to tell us.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Alfred Hitchcock, and this is Music to be Murdered by. It is mood music in a jugular vein, and I hope you like it. Our record requires only the simplest of equipment: an ordinary phonograph needle, a 4-inch speaker, and a 38 caliber revolver. Naturally, the record is long playing, even though you may not be. So why don't you relax, lean back and enjoy yourself until the coroner comes.
Yes, and it was the Button Down Brass Orchestra with the French Connection for Thriller Swing. Now let's proceed with the book Swinging at the Savoy, written by Miss Norma Miller in 1996. So we are at the ending pages, and she says, Frankie and I were also involved in Spike Lee's production of Malcom X. Otis Salad choreographed, but as his knowledge of swing dancing was very limited, he brought in Frankie Manning to assist, and I assisted Frankie. We appeared in a ballroom scene together, but I didn't think the results were authentic. Salad looked to the 1941 Universal picture Elsa Poppin for his choreography of the dance number. His whole number worked around a series of verse steps, but you could not distinguish one dancer from another. He also recreated the same choreography in Swing Kids, which was filmed in Czechoslovakia and set in Hitler's Germany 1938-1940. He used the same hair steps on a ballroom floor, but he evidently didn't do his homework. Ballrooms had dance codes in 1938, and you never saw anyone throw in the air in a ballroom unless it was in a contest. Swing dancing in a ballroom during that period was all floor work. I was much happier with the results in Debbie Allen's made-for-television movie Stompin at the Savoy. She called and asked me to work with her on the project. It is always a pleasure to work with pros. I was nominated for an Emmy for Best Choreography. By 1990, I was living in Las Vegas, and I still traveled to wherever the good jobs were, but there were always so much happening in Vegas that I could stay busy right here. When the Debbie Reynolds Hotel and Casino opened there in June 1993, one of the main attractions was a late event they called Jazz and Eggs, which was held in the cafe. This featured the Ernie George Trio and included Jimmy Caesar as the MC. Jimmy invited me to come by, and I did. It turned out to be the regular hangout every weekend. One weekend, I threw in a Lindy beat that I had done with Cisco Drayton, one of the dancers of Malcom X and Stompin at the Savoy. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing that I ended my beat doing the Lindy Hop. I called it the beat, and I did it too. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Go figure. It was so successful that after that, every time I go up to perform, they asked me to do the beat. That was Norma. Every time we met her, she was always doing this. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got the swing. But on the record with the Billy Brown Swing Orchestra, it was called Give Me the Beat. Everything in life got a beat. When you walk down the street, your feet tap to a beat. That was Norma Miller. One night I was up there doing my thing, and John Biffar, a movie director, happened to be in my house. He approached me and told me, I want to put you in my movie. Biffar was directing a movie in Florida called Captiva with Ernest Borgnine, Artie Johnson, and Bill Cobbs. I accepted the part in the movie, and we shot in May of '94 in Fort Myers, Florida. It was the first time I had happened to in film without dancing. When I left Florida, I went straight to New York, where the New York Swing Dance Society had planned a celebration for Frankie Manning's 80th birthday over the Memorial Day weekend. The weekend was called Can't Top the Lindy Hop, and the events were held at the Roosevelt Hotel in Manhattan. So swing dancing is still alive and well today. Basically, swing dancing is dancing to the 8-bar beat of the big band swing music. The music inspired the dancers to innovate, and the dancers inspired the musicians. The Lindy Hop started in Harlem when white bands became part of the swing era. The white kids tended to follow bands like Benny Goodman's. It was about this time that the dance got faster and wilder. Goodman, when the King of Swing, Goodman, played at Paramount Theater in New York in 1938, the audience went wild and danced in the aisle. Goodman supposedly said that they looked like a bunch of jitterbugs, and the name stuck. The promoters picked up the term and started hyping the new dance, the jitterbug. To the rest of us, it looked like the Lindy Hop. Although Harlem created it, the Lindy belongs to everyone. Although Harlem created it, the Lindy Hop belongs to everyone. From the beginning, where there were dancers who were essentially performers and dancers who were social dancers. The social dancers would try to imitate the performers, and stage steps would show up on the ballroom floor. Whitey had developed a dance troupe, predominantly black. That was partly because Whitey was so committed to making his dances the elite of Lindy Hop, also because the good white dancers were not encouraged to become professionals. Times were different. It was not easy for a troupe of dancers being a mixed. Anyway, we saw any number of really good white dancers at the ballroom, but their families made them continue their educations. Harry Goldberg and his partner Rudy were one of the best dance teams at the Savoy. Harry became a dentist. Jimmy Valentine, whose real name was Jimmy Paul Perrone, was a Lindy from Italy, was a Lindy Hopper even though he had only one leg. He did go into show business and became a partner of Peg Leg Bates. Black and white, professional social dancers took swing to all parts of the world. The dance picked up new techniques and regional styles, and all this give and take shaped the varieties of swing that we have today. The dance is American. It was created in the Savoy Ballroom to the sounds of the big bands. As long as there is swing music, there will be swing dancing. Amen. Miss Norma Miller, 1996, swinging at the Savoy. And now, let's listen to Bull Moose Jackson and Sneaky P, 1947.
Sneaky Pete makes you jump for joy. Sneaky Pete is a raw McCoy. Sneaky Pete is a juice that seems so mild. After 2 drinks, it drives you wild. Sneaky Pete makes your ears go pop. Sneaky Pete helps you blow your top. Sneaky Pete is a jive that hits the spot. After 1 drink, your blood runs hot. It feels so good as it goes around, way down in my belly. And then it turns around, comes up my spine, makes me feel so doggone fine. Sneaky Pete makes you like a kid. Sneaky Pete makes you flip your lid. Sneaky Pete is a drink well understood. 1 great big swing, you're out for good.
So, my friends, this was the episode number 34 of All That Swing by Big Daddy, Music, Culture, and History of the 30s and the 40s. And these 36 total episodes are part of the Swing European Network project co-financed by the European Union. So, I'll be seeing you next month. In the meantime, get up and keep on swinging!